But I want to welcome everybody to my channel, The Candy Shop. I am so excited. The Candy Shop. So this is my story time, The Candy Shop.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Candy Shop. I'm Candace.
I'm Candy Washington.
Hey, it's Khadi B.
And it's not the ladies' lounge tonight. It's just The Candy Shop featuring these two beautiful women. We are going to be getting into the Insecure episode. And child, I got my big glass of wine. The behind the scenes should have been recorded for this.
It should have been.
I don't think I'm going to go as hard tonight as I went in the thing. Because I've had some time to reflect.
Go hard.
I'll be truthful, but maybe not as hard.
Yes. Well, I want to recognize shout out some of these people in the comments. So shout out to Avielle, one of my mods. She says, welcome to The Candy Shop. Wipe your feet on your way in and be mindful and respectful of everyone in the chat. Hit that like button on the way in. Thank you, Avielle. And yes, drop the candy in the chat. Anointed said, yeah, buddy, Birdman hand rub. Let's discuss. And yes, she's dropping that candy in the chat. And then there's Evangelist Val. Shout out to Evangelist Val. She had her first
Val.
Yeah, she had her first live yesterday. Khadi was featured on there along with some other panelists. It was a good discussion. So be sure to check it out. Click on the replay. So let's get into it with this episode. So I did take notes on the episode. Okay. We can talk about it piece by piece. I do want to get you guys' perspectives. I'm just going to start off top. I disagree with both Khadi and Candy. With their perception on the episode. So that's just a little disclaimer. I disagree, but we can get right into it. So the episode starts with Issa leaving Lawrence. You know, she has that epiphany like, yeah, this isn't for me when she comes back from her college reunion. So Lawrence then goes back to his packed up apartment. And that was the part, Candy, I know you mentioned something about that. Now, you were saying it made sense. So tell me about that, why you felt like that made sense.
Yeah, then it made sense when I realized that Lawrence left LA for his tech job in San Francisco. And the time sort of jump. So when they get back from the reunion, that was supposed to be more like in real time. And then when she comes back and they sort of part ways, then I'm like, oh, that's right. They broke up because he was moving to San Francisco. And so then this episode, once we get past that part, it's that 12 months later where he's kind of like bawling in San Francisco. And then that made sense why last episode Issa was like crying in that man's mouth or whatever, because it was like, oh, it wasn't like she was just like, oh, I don't want to deal with Lawrence anymore. It was like, oh, I still love Lawrence, but he chose this job over me. We're not working out due to circumstance, not so much because I don't love him anymore. So that kind of made more sense to me, and it made everything come together and why she was still hurting 9 to 10 months out after breaking up with Lawrence.
See, I disagree with that. But no, I agree with it to some extent. I think that it's wrapped into the Lawrence situation plus what she experienced that night at the show with the guy. That was her first time she worked with an artist that totally went rogue on her. And so she's dealing with the after effects of being called a sellout. So I just thought it was a lot more wrapped into it versus just Lawrence. And then her feelings with the guy, her going back to the first episode, I know we talked about this before, but she still has some feelings there for Nathan, but look at the history of their relationship and how he just up and left. So I just felt like it was all wrapped up in one, but I definitely can see what you're saying, Candy.
But you know, to that point, I think our emotions are always. Hey, Anointed! Oh, yay! Yeah. That's right. Happy Veterans Day, Khadi. What the hell? Sorry, how did I forget that? Happy Veterans Day, Khadi. Okay,
Thank you. It's right. You talked yesterday.
I forgot. Okay, sorry. I'm all right. I'm gonna calm down. Okay, so to what Candace was saying.
I'm laughing at it though, and talking about Issa's
trifle she done with Crenshaw and Crenshaw.
I like saying his name,
Crenshaw.
No, but to your point, I think everything is always, our experiences and emotions are layered on each other. But I think the reason why she asked Nathan to stay was because more so what you're saying. She had a really tough day. Everything, she was called a sellout. He went rogue. She was all stressed out. And I think it was more of like, I need this. Like, I need a body. I need this release. I need this. Like, I've had a bad day. I'm feeling really whack right now. I'm feeling stressed out. Like, why don't you come and stay? Because that was even why she even invited him over, because she was feeling so stressed out from the day and everything going on in her job. Right. But I think the moment when she was about to have sex with him, I think the majority of that was the Lawrence stuff, because then she said, I'm not ready, or she said, I thought I was ready, or something like that. And to me, whenever you're talking about being ready, it's that mental, emotional thing of, am I really over my ex? Am I really able to give my body to somebody else? Am I really ready to, bust it with this dude? Like, because the fact that she was like, I thought I was ready, or I'm not ready, to me, and that in that particular moment about the sex was about her still feeling attached to Lawrence. But I thought that she invited him over and wanted him to stay and all of that because she had the bad day and she wanted that wine, she wanted that D, she wanted that escape from the day.
Yeah, because we know Issa did that in the past. There was nothing for her to hook up. Khadi,
remember Airport Man? Sorry.
I know. Before we get to the nitty gritty of why we had a big disagreement.
I don't know. Based on the timeline situation, I really just think that Issa was going through a lot of the stuff. I don't know that I necessarily thought about her going through with the Crenshaw situation. I thought it was mostly all just Lawrence, him moving, not to mention the fact that he did get somebody else pregnant, even though at the time they weren't together. That's still an emotion there. So that's what I was thinking. I really didn't think that it was because she was called a sellout, which I totally agreed with. But that was last episode that we talked about.
Yes. So, hey, the Vegas girl, thank you for joining.
Hey.
But fast forward to now 2021. Oh, yes. Oh, so Anointed may agree with me. But fast forward to 2021, Lawrence is a successful exec at his IT company. We see him out on a date where he receives a text that his baby has been born. And so he gets to the hospital. The nurse announces, hey, you have a son. Congratulations. And the whole time he's probably thinking, WTF. One thing I did notice is that the baby was born early. So who knows why he was not called when she went into labor. But then again, I can't, hey, Lamar. Then again, and this is just me speaking as a mom, but still I would need my husband. But that's the thing. I'm gonna say this: when I go into labor, like when I've gone into labor, I do want my husband there. And a lot of times you want your partner there, but because her and Lawrence, which it appears that they didn't have that relationship, she wasn't, in her mind, she wasn't even thinking, I want him there, because of the fact that they don't even have the relationship. And so I don't know what it's like to have a baby and throughout my pregnancy not be with a partner. And that's what she experienced. But what are y'all thoughts on that?
My thought is, I still think that she should have given him the heads up when she went into labor and given him the opportunity, because yes, I understand she's the mother, but he's also the father, and that's still both of their child. That's still a union of the two of them. I think the reason why it got to that point was she kind of gave him an out and he kind of took it, but she didn't actually want him to take the out, and he actually wants to be more involved than I think he first said that he wanted to be, because he was probably in shock. So I think it's a big case of one, miscommunication out of feelings rather than a true coming together to co-parent or have an actual plan for how they're going to move forward in a cohesive way, whether it's actually co-parenting or actually her taking the baby and doing it. There was no true resolution, no true plan, no true strategy, no true communication. Seemed like they left it after they had a fight and then didn't really talk.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. And because they, sorry, Khadi, let me let you talk because I was going to go right into it. Go ahead, Khadi.
Yeah, I think like Candy said, they didn't really come up with a plan of action. They didn't come up with anything as we saw as the episode progresses. And he didn't initially want the child. I get that, but that does not mean that he is still not the father. And she should not have kept him abridged of what was going on in the situation. And yeah, I don't expect her to call while she's in labor. I don't expect that at all. But the mother, like her mom or her sister, should have called him to let him know instead of a text after the fact, even if they felt like he was a deadbeat, because I'm sure we'll talk about. But even still, everybody has the right to be present at their child's birth. And just because these two are not together does not take his rights from him.
Yeah.
Right.
So my thing about that is this: I don't think she took any rights. And yes, we can say they should have called, but was Lawrence checking in with her? Because the last thing she heard was "keep me posted" from him, is what was mentioned in the show. So the phone works both ways. If this man was, to me, and I don't think anybody's wrong in this situation, but I'll say this: if he was truly involved in the situation, he would know that the baby is coming, because he should be calling as well. Like, why not? This girl is, she's pregnant by you. If you are really that involved, I would think it would be a weekly or a daily call. We don't know. All we know is he told her, keep me posted, and she went on about her business. It was like, okay, whatever. He put the responsibility of him getting in contact with her on her to contact him about what's going on, when, like y'all said, he's the father. So he should go out of his way to be in contact with her as well. And I think, and that's like I said, I don't think anyone is wrong because they've never had children. And so, but that's just my thought process in that.
I wish we knew a little bit more about what was going on between that time of keep me posted and then the labor and delivery. So I really wish we knew if he was reaching out, or because we don't have much to go on except that last statement.
Yeah, except he said, keep me posted, and the baby was born early. And so I know how sometimes men, because I've never had a child full term. And so, and I'm sorry, everybody, when I speak, I'm speaking from my experience as a mom.
Right.
Don't
apologize. You have to apologize.
So I've never had a baby full term. And so my first daughter, actually all my kids were born early. But with the first daughter that we had, my husband had never had a child before. And so she came early and he was at work. And for a good hour or two, I couldn't even get in contact with him. And I'm thinking, I have a baby on the way. I know you're busy at work, but you should be available. And then when he finally gets the call, he of course rushes, but he was like, I didn't know the baby was going to come this early. I was expecting the baby to come at this time. And so as a man, they don't even think, I'm sure Lawrence being in, and now here go the daughter that I'm speaking of crying. Lawrence, the fact that he didn't have any children, he's probably thinking, okay, the baby was supposed to be born at this time. I'm going to do me. I'll follow up with her at this time. Yeah. And so he probably didn't expect it either. So I see both sides, but I know, just speaking from my perspective as the mom, even though he might not have known that, we automatically have to just jump in and be the mom. And I'll get to that in a second too.
Right, but I think we have to take a step back from Lawrence saying keep me posted, because the way Condola prefaced that conversation was, I'm pregnant, I'm going to take care of this baby, I don't really need you. Right. And so he was responding to her saying, I really don't want you in the baby's life. I don't need you to be the father. So when he said, okay, well then keep me, because think about it, when you say keep me posted, it's usually someone who's trying to blow you off. Okay, well fine, keep me posted. So we can't just take the last thing Lawrence said without taking into consideration what Condola said to say that. She didn't go to Lawrence and was just like, hey, Lawrence, I'm pregnant. You know, do you want to be a dad? How involved do you want to be? Like, I want to make sure my child has a father in their life. And he was like, nah, keep me posted. That's not how it went down.
Yeah.
She has always felt superior to him, and she has always looked down and talked down and clowned him. So when she got pregnant, she came to him with this energy in which she said on the show, which basically like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm at this point in my life where I'm going to keep the baby. She wasn't really checking for him to be a part of it. Yeah. So do I think it was right to say, keep me posted? No, but do I understand where he was coming from? Yes, because he's also in that limbo in his own life. He just got a job offer to go to San Francisco for this tech job that he's been working hard for. He's been in this relationship with this woman who clearly does not take him seriously. And that was a dead-end relationship. And then all of a sudden she's pregnant. So there's a lot on him too. We consider the mother, but we also have to consider the father and where they're at in their life. It's not like she came to him being like, let's be a team on this. She came to him being like, I don't need you. And then he said, well, fine, keep me posted. And then they tried to villainize him for not showing up at certain times when he wasn't even invited to show up. It's like the moment he walked in the hospital room, he got the stank eye from the sister and the mother because it was clear she had been dogging him out. And it's almost like, well, you're finally here. But he didn't even know until he got a text.
Right.
So how are you villainizing him for showing up late when you didn't even tell him what was going on? So there has to be accountability on both sides. He has to put his ego aside and show up and interact more with Condola and the baby. And she also needs to put her ego aside and be like, hey, maybe I do need to make sure that he's more of an active participant. Because how am I holding somebody accountable to something that I'm telling them I don't want them to do? And then when they don't do it, then now they're dusty and they're the bad guy. So that's the issue I had with Condola. It's like you can't act like you want him to be one way and then when he isn't that way, and then you get mad at him. You can't have it both ways, Condola. Yeah, that was my issue with Condola.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with neither, but I'm gonna let you say your point, Khadi.
Well, I feel like you already know me and Candy agreed a lot on the situation. Because I feel like both of them are actually wrong in different ways.
Yep.
I feel like Condola has made it almost impossible for Lawrence to be a good father, but he has also gone along with not being a good father. I mean, they're both actually responsible for this mess that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Equally, but oppositely. Like, he has sort of checked out and she has hogged everything and kept like any and everything about the child. When she wanted to introduce solids and all this other stuff, things that he should have known about his own flesh and blood, she decided he didn't need to know. So,
and then gets mad when he doesn't know.
Right.
Like, what the hell?
Craziness behind it.
Yeah.
I guess my thing
again, because he should have read her mind, I guess.
I guess my thing is, this is not about reading her mind. If you know you have a child on the way, you need to take the extra mile to do it, because, like, I'll say this, I'm the one that's pregnant. I'm dealing with my own emotions. If you truly want to know what's going on, you make that effort to do it. And I shouldn't have to keep calling you. I already am trying to take care of myself to make sure that this baby is alive. And so I feel like with him, with both of them, because I don't think either one is wrong, but I just feel like she did what she had to do based off of the circumstances that she chose to, or her choices that she made. He chose to continue to be in the child's life. But we see, this is why I like that it was realistic, because I'm gonna get to some of the points. We see that he has his own life going on, and he needs to keep up with his own life, and he checks in when it works for him. We see that.
Yeah.
And so it's not, I don't think she did anything wrong in how she handled herself with the baby. If anything, they both needed to communicate with each other due to the fact that they have this child. Because like we'll get to that in a second. Derek says the child feels the energy, and the child basically receives the backlash of all of this happening. So to me, both are at fault if anybody is wrong. But we get to, of course, she named the baby Elijah Mustafa Walker.
And see, she named the baby without his input at all.
Exactly. That's also
taking
ridiculous.
that from him. 50% of this child has his DNA, 50% has hers, and she was like, bump you. I'm going to name the child whatever I want to name him. You have no input, basically stealing all the rights from him, even though he has equal rights to the child.
Steal from him. Please.
The right to name your child, the right to have input on when the child got baptized or whatever, the christening and stuff like that. The reason why I go harder on Condola in this situation is because
I think her own misery.
Exactly. I think she's the one who created this atmosphere. It's almost like when she came at him with this attitude of like, you ain't nothing and I don't need you, then why would he and I know no matter what, you should always step up for your child and do all that, and at the very like la la land we think that, but actual as human beings, then why would he have the incentive to step up in a bigger way when she's already putting him down and dismissing him? Like the way I took the scene where he was like really tired and there was like the suitcase and he looked at his flight in the suitcase, the way I took that was kind of like, she already expects the worst of me, so I don't have anything to prove. I'm not going to let her down. She's already got this. So by me saying I'm really tired, I'm going to stay home, I don't think he understood that she would be disappointed, because then when he didn't come and she's there with her little sister Kiki Palmer and she's all disappointed because he's not showing up, and then of course then he becomes Dusty, he becomes a villain, he becomes deadbeat, all this stuff. But how was he even supposed to know what the expectation was? Like if I were him, I wouldn't think she would care because of the way that she acts. But if she cared, like if she acted like he was a valuable person in their unit, then I think he would show up differently. And that's my biggest issue with Condola. You can't treat him one way, then he shows up the way you tell him to show up, and then you villainize him for that. That is my biggest issue with Condola. She created this atmosphere. Yep. That's my issue with her. She created the atmosphere.
This is my thing about that, because you guys said she was human. She created this. She didn't create anything. They both played a part in getting pregnant.
No, not the life.
Not the actual pregnancy.
Created this.
I want to just say
the dynamic. Exactly. She created the dynamic.
Yeah, I want to just say this though. They chose to have unprotected sex. So these are the effects of what happens when you make those life choices. And so with setting the precedent of him being involved, he said that because he said he would be there every week. So if he's supposed to be there every week, regardless of how she feels and how she does him, he's not coming for her. He's coming for the child. So regardless of whatever attitude this girl has, if he truly wants to be there, he will be there. And I just feel like that because he said he was going to be there. Now, I know work got the best of him or whatever, but if he really wanted to be there with that child, he would have been there with that child. And that's how I view that.
No, I totally agree that he should be there. He should show up. I totally agree on that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't absolve Condola of the fact that she created the dysfunction in this scenario. He didn't create it. He went along with it, but he didn't create the dysfunction.
He took the easy way out that she gave him, and then she resented him. This is the thing. She gave him the easy way out, and when he took it, she resented him for it.
Yep.
And that is what created this unhealthy dynamic. She resented him for taking the easy way out. And that's why they're having this conflict in these issues now. It's not excusing him, and it's not condoning his behavior, but that's what happened.
Properly.
Yeah.
He hasn't gone out of his way, because as we seen him comparing on what's going on, we already know that he was going to be living the life and she wasn't. But she's equally responsible for this situation. They're responsible in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely needs to stand up, show up more, get more info, but she also needs to give him the info. The man can't get info if she doesn't tell him.
Is he asking for it?
He's asking.
He was like about the christening, and she was like, oh, we already have it all figured out. And he was like, wait a minute, like my parents, he was like, but what about my parents? They were talking about, they wanted the baby. Even the naming of the baby, he was like, well, what's the name? It's like, oh, we already decided it. So it was just like, this is the thing, she created that unhealthy dynamic of she's making all the decisions, she's doing everything, he is an afterthought. If he's even an afterthought, it seems like he's even more of a nuisance to her.
So this is just my thought on that. So usually when you name the baby before it's born. So I just wonder why they didn't have that conversation prior to the baby being born. Why is he so surprised?
I guess that's not.
I don't know about
naming
that.
of the baby before it's born. Maybe depending on what.
Like when you have your baby, like when you're pregnant, and I'm just saying this from being a mom. My babies, all of them, I chose the name prior to them being born, because when you have them, like you literally have to tell them what the name is going to be and put it on the birth certificate. And so a lot of times,
you don't have to right away.
But you don't have to right away. But I'm just telling you realistically. I'm
telling you that's cultural to name it before. You don't have to name the baby before. Well, some people name the baby after the baby is born. African American woman like Condola,
we tend to name our children prior to the baby being born. Like you think of the names prior. And
so the baby was earlier, though.
I think this is a telltale sign again of them not communicating while she was pregnant. And so prior to her having the baby, did anything jog in his mind to say, hey, I want this baby to be named after me? Also, it sounds like he was surprised that she had a son. So was he not there for when she found out what the sex was going to be? Was he like it? I'm just saying. I'm just being.
No, they covered that. No, they covered that in the episode. They had the conversation in the episode because he was just like, oh, like the last keep me posted, and then the baby was born and all that stuff. And he said, I don't want to miss any more going forward.
So this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm not giving him a pass on anything.
I don't think anybody's giving.
We're not giving him a pass.
If he truly wanted to be involved, and I'm just looking at it from both standpoints. If he truly wanted to be involved, he would have been there. It sounds like through her appointments while she was pregnant, through a lot of the pregnancy. Now, whether or not he felt like she didn't want him there, that was for them to discuss. Maybe he felt like he couldn't be there because of how she was acting towards him in the pregnancy. But he cannot be surprised at her naming the baby when he wasn't there throughout the pregnancy. Now, is she wrong for just taking the initiative to name the baby? I'm not going to say she is or isn't because I don't know all the circumstances, but it just looks like everything was a shock to him. And it's like, okay, why was it a shock? Is it because you were not there? Like, and that's just my thoughts on that. But I feel like I said, I will give him a pass for this being his first child. It was a child that he even said himself he didn't plan for his first kid to be born this way, which life happens. But the thing is, though, I don't think that she's trying to villainize him. I think that she is realizing that, hey, I decided to have a child from a man that I was not married to. And now I need his help, but we're not together. I need to communicate with him because when you're not with this person, you do feel like it is your child because you are the one that's solely responsible for the child. So she's coming from a mindset, this is my child, but I did have it with this guy. He wants to be involved. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to give him this because he said here go. Oh my goodness. I'm going to turn my camera off for a second and hold my little daughter.
Okay. Yeah. I just don't think that's how Condola feels. I think that's more of like a generalization. I think I'm only going to speak about the characters on the show. Mm-hmm. That is not how I think Condola was represented on the show. She was represented on the show as this guy was just a fun piece that I had on the side. She clowned him with his friends. She never took him seriously. Oops, she got pregnant. She was in her ego and was just like, I don't really need you. I'm here. I'm gonna have this baby. Then when it push came to shove, it was harder than what she thought. She was still icing him out. She was still clowning him, not including him, not communicating with him. And then when he was in the dark, when he didn't understand what was going on, when he was surprised and shocked, when he would, not show up because he didn't even think he was even wanted there in the first place, then she did villainize him. The moment she walked in, this little sister was clowning, oh, the deadbeat, all this stuff, this, that, and the third. The mother gave him attitude and the stink eye and all this stuff. It was very clear she had been talking poorly about him. And it was very clear that they did not think well of him. Even when he canceled the flight, she was like, oh, well, we were going to have our massage day. I guess that's not going to happen anymore. If you tell a person, man or woman, that they have no value in your life, and then they act accordingly, you cannot be disappointed by that. And that is what I see happening in the show. That's how I see Condola's character showing up with Lawrence. I'm not saying that Lawrence is a saint and he's absolved of his responsibility as a parent. Absolutely not. But I do see how Condola is the one who created this dynamic of what is going on. And for him being shocked and not knowing about things, you're right. The phone does work both ways. She also could have been like, hey, I know we just had a really weird conversation, but listen, this is your baby too. I'm the mom. I'm going to need your support. Let's figure this out. She could have done it and he could have done it. We have to remember that, yes, it's the mom has the baby. She carries the baby. But at the end of the day, it is both of the parents' responsibility to act in the best interest of the child. Do I think he was being childish at times? Yes. Do I think she was being childish at times? Yes. I think they equally were in their feelings and in their ego and not showing up and doing this, that, and the third. But I do think that he was trying. I'm not going to give him a pass for trying because she's trying too. But I think that to make him all wrong, and I'm not saying you are, I'm talking about Condola. For Condola to make him all wrong, I think is incorrect and wrong. And then for Lawrence to sort of be wishy-washy because she gives him the opportunity to be wishy-washy is also wrong, because at the end of the day, the person he needs to show up for is his son, not necessarily the mother.
Do you think she thinks he's all wrong though? Has she actually came off like she thinks he's all wrong?
Yeah.
When she snatched the baby, she snatched the baby and she said, I don't trust you. And the moment she said, I don't trust you, my baby, and I don't trust you, yes, she thinks he is all wrong. 100%.
I don't think she thinks
she thought he was wrong before she even got pregnant. She thought he was wrong when she was clowning him at
I don't think she thinks
with
he's
his friends.
wrong, but the whole she doesn't trust him is due to his inexperience of being there with his child. She has
I totally disagree with that.
I know
she doesn't trust him as a man.
Which she
that is what she was a man.
There, you created the situation. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You created it, Condola. You created this crazy situation. You have hauled your child to the way that he doesn't know what to do for the kid. And then you make him out to be the bad guy when he tries. He can't even feed his own child without her having a hissy fit and trying to take the child from him. You have no right to take the child from him. You legally have none.
She was the hostile one. And she was the hostile one in that situation. And when she said, I don't trust you, she meant she did not respect Lawrence from the beginning. She had no respect for him and she didn't trust him before she got pregnant with him. That is why when she had the conversation about being pregnant, she was coming from this place of, I don't need you. Because she never respected him and she never trusted him.
So we're talking about two situations. So we're going to talk about the baby shower where she took the baby and he fed her. So in that situation, I would have did the same thing because of the fact that he does not, and this is my perspective, he does not have this child 100%. He flies in whenever it's convenient for him. And so she knows the baby. If we're talking about communication, he didn't consult with her on when they were going to introduce Solace to a baby.
She didn't consult with him.
The thing is, though, it's not even
On
about
anything.
It's not
at all.
The thing
Anything.
is, though.
So you're gonna say it's
let
not.
me say my point. Let me say my point. I don't want to be y'all on my show, but I will. But let me say my point. I want to say this: when it comes to a baby, as a mom, I'm thinking about my child, and so regardless of how this man is feeling about whether or not who's right or wrong, I know with a baby what is right for a baby. If you can only introduce solids to a baby at 4 months, that's it. And the thing is, though, it's not actual adult food. It is baby food. So had he communicated with her, or had they have had that discussion, which I definitely 100% agree with Derek, had they have had that discussion about the child, I would have been okay. Now, Condola, I can understand why she overreacted. I can also see Lawrence's part. He don't know that you can't feed a baby actual adult food. But the thing is, though, I don't know. I'm just thinking about the baby. I want to protect my baby to the highest standard. The baby could have been allergic. The baby could have choked. You just never know. The thing is, though, he didn't ask her that. He didn't ask her that as the dad. Which, yeah, he's the dad. That's his right to ask her. That's his right.
His
Can I raise my hand?
Ask.
He could have asked because clearly he didn't know.
His right to ask.
He assumed that he could give the baby adult food. And if he really cared about this child and really wanted to be there for the child versus getting upset with her attitude, he would have asked her, what kind of food can this baby eat? And I'm going to stand on that. I said what I fucking said.
No.
My hand is raised. Wait, my hand's raised.
No.
My hand is raised. My hand is raised.
No.
Okay, so
Baby's not
wait, my turn.
Yeah.
Wait, my turn. My hand's up. My hand's up. Okay, so this is the thing. Again, I am only speaking about what the actual characters did. In the actual episode, when this happened, Lauren said, the doctor said we can introduce solids foods after 4 months. So they did have the conversation, and he did have the knowledge that the baby could be introduced to solid food after 4 months. I'm only talking about what happened in the actual episode. So they actually had that conversation. He did have that knowledge. It wasn't like he went willy-nilly and was popping Doritos in the baby's mouth, okay? So he did have that knowledge. They did go there together. Then Condola had an attitude and was just like, well, we didn't say when or how much or how or she was already on one. And I actually think, based on what happened in the episode, their fight had nothing to do with the baby. Because the fight is never actually what the fight is about. The fight is always about something else. The fight had nothing to do with the baby. The fight had nothing to do with introducing solids to the baby. The fight was about that these are two people who should not have had a child together. These are two people who do not know how to communicate, who don't even really like each other. These are two people who are at war to be right. And that is what the fight was about. He could have done anything and it would have pissed her off because as she said, she does not trust him. And she clearly does not like him and she does not respect him. So anything he would have done would have pissed her off because of the dynamic and the unhealthy communication and the unresolved issues and the resentment that they have for each other. So it had nothing to do with the baby itself. And that is why they got into that argument. Because if they had a healthy dynamic and that same situation went down, and I'm only talking about the characters in the show. I'm going to be very clear.
I want y'all to explain the trust part. I want to understand.
Okay. But if she had actually liked him, it would have been, oh no, like you can't introduce that to the baby yet. Give me the baby. Let me see if she's okay. She would have responded differently energetically. It would have been a totally different response if the two of them had a healthy relationship. The problem is they have a dysfunctional, resentful, unhealthy relationship and dynamic, and that is what is showing up. It literally had nothing to do with the baby. It had to do with these people don't get along. And the whole core of co-parenting is actually, how can I learn to get along with this person that I am not with in order to serve the best interest of my child? And that is what is dysfunctional in their situation. And they are both at fault. And it's not just Condola's baby, it's his baby too. And if she only wanted it to be her baby, she should have took him to court and got his rights taken away. But she hasn't done that. And he hasn't gone to court to do it either. And you ask about the trust thing. When she said, give me my baby. And there was this whole thing. And she goes, because I don't trust you. That was the most honest thing she has ever said to him. And if you watch the episodes and you watch the trajectory of their entire relationship, it is very clear that she does not trust him, nor does she respect him. She always acted like he was just a jump off for her. I forgot if she was either broken up or divorced or something from this great guy, and now she went through a single phase, and then she was like kind of like slumming it with like hot Laurens. Because remember, even when he came to the party with her friends, they were all very pretentious and hoity-toity, and they were laughing at him and the shirt, and he was trying to fix stuff, and she never respected him. And you don't trust someone you don't respect. And that is the problem. That is the essence of their problem at the core. You have two people who don't actually know each other that well, who don't respect each other, and who don't trust each other, having to come to a common ground to take care of an actual living human being. So they are not fighting about the baby. They are fighting with each other. And that is what the problem is.
Khadi, your thoughts?
Well, Lawrence doesn't have to ask her permission for anything at all. I don't care how she feels about the situation. That's his child just as much as it's her child. He doesn't have to ask her if he can introduce solid food. They should discuss when they want to do this, but he doesn't have to ask her permission like a child for anything at all pertaining to that child. They both have equal rights to this baby. And the fact that he doesn't know certain things is because she is not telling him certain things. He's probably not reaching out to find out either on what's going on, but he did know about the solid food situation. Like Candy said, he said, the doctor said everything was cool. And then she basically was going to fight him for the baby. And I said this before, and what if he wouldn't have gave it to her? She don't have a ground to stand on, a leg at all. It just would have been a big blow up. Then what?
The problem is they're not a team. They're not partners. And that's what the problem is. They look at each other as adversaries. They look at each other as enemies. They're each fighting for something, instead of working together to build something. Exactly. They're both fighting. It's all ego based. They're both fighting to be the one who's right. And if I'm the one who's right, then they have to be wrong. So no matter what Lawrence does, he's going to be wrong. And no matter how much Condola gives at this point, she's also kind of going to be wrong to him. Because they haven't gotten to the point where they're actually making it about the child. They're still stuck in the point where it's about each other.
So I want to make my point. So when I say ask, it's not asking for permission. It's asking what type of foods can the baby have. So there's a difference. He has a right to feed the baby food and solids, but he didn't ask her what type of solids to feed the baby, which is why I said when it comes to whatever food they had there, a child after 1 year old, yes, can eat more adult foods. Their baby is a little baby. It's a newborn. So that baby cannot have what the babies at the party can have. So he did not give her the common courtesy of asking her or finding out what the baby can eat. He just assumed, solids, which is a common mistake some men make.
Exactly.
But I understand where she's coming from with why she got so worked up, because we know anything that you give a little baby at that age can be fatal to a child. So that's why she's worked up. Now, as for the trust factor, I agree with you guys kind of on that. The fact that they have the type of relationship that she has, she's not going to trust them. She don't know him. They decided to have a child out of a situation where they was just hooking up. So with that being said, it's like they do have to work on a plan of communicating. I know they say things out of anger because he said he was going to go to the courts, which I honestly feel like they should. They need some type of counseling. They need mediation. They need the legal system involved, because it's a situation where you have two people that don't know each other that decided, she decided to have a child and now he wants to be involved. I don't know the whole semantics and dynamic of the situation, but legally they need somebody there, because clearly what they're working on now is not working. And
I
so
don't like the man in Black people business. I don't like that. They can go to counseling, but I don't
thing is,
recommend, because I feel like this issue can be worked out without involving the system.
he
into it.
himself said that he wanted to involve the system.
Well, you know, men say a lot of things. that they
California is a very liberal state, so I will give California that. And this is going just realistically, real life. They're very liberal. They, depending on who is the better parent, they do side with. It's not just always the woman. But I think they need some type of mediation and some type of counseling, because, like Derek said, the baby is going to feel the after effects of that.
Mhm.
But I don't fault either one. I really wish, though, that Lawrence would. Well, I wish they both would communicate, because they're hearing two different things. They both heard solids. She knows from Ray actually keeping the baby what type of solids the baby can have. He doesn't know. So I wish they would communicate about that. And I'm interested to see what happens after this. I still hey, Darren Hood.
Hey, Darren Hood.
I didn't get to say hello to Fox counselor.
Hey.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Lawrence could figure out what type of simple search. If he really wanted to know, he could easily search without asking a doctor or Condola, what is it that the child can eat at this age, if he really wanted to find out.
Again, I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not the baby can have solids and what types of solids.
No, I don't think the fight is about
I don't even think that's not what the fight's really about. The fight is about exactly what she says. I don't trust you. So she acted like he intentionally was doing something to her. She took it as, oh, you have my baby and you're introducing these solids to my baby without running it through me first. She took it as he was doing something to her, and that's why she popped off on him. It had nothing to do about the baby. It had nothing to do about, let's come and talk about solid foods and let's get a plan on how we're going to introduce Cheerios to little Mustafa. No, it had nothing to do with that. She took it as, you are disrespecting me by doing something with the child, because they don't have a relationship. They don't have a healthy one. And that is why she picked, and that is why she popped off.
Right. No, I wasn't saying she popped off because of that. I was saying that if he really wanted to educate himself on what the child could have solid wise, he could without her.
I think
she need her, but they do need each other and they do need to communicate.
I think she popped off because of the solids. Fox counselor said, I don't think she was ready for the baby to have solids, which a lot of times, even though they say 4 months, when your baby don't have teeth, it's like, I truly, and this is just me being a mom, I truly feel like she was upset about those solids, because look, come here, Kennard.
No, she wasn't.
Come here.
No, she wasn't. Because this is the thing. You can be genuinely mad about the solids. It's the way in which she went off is the problem.
I'm going up on my husband for very small things as it relates to the baby. With
your fingers out on his face.
Like when I'm dealing with the baby, like he'll get mad at me because he feels like, as the father, he knows what's going on too. But
I agree. Exactly. As he should. Yeah.
I get upset and I'll be like, no, you weren't here and you didn't see this. And this is what the doctor told me. Right. And this is what I'm dealing with every day because of me having a baby every day. And this is the things that I'm seeing and what I'm learning. I feel like, okay, this is what I need. So that is why. But I do want to say shout out to K Stone. He was like,
but she has that baby every day. That's but it's
also
on her because she could release that responsibility onto him. But share that responsibility. She keeps creating this for herself. She won't release the baby to him and then faults him for not knowing, maybe the baby's sleep schedule or what the baby needs on here and here and here and here, but you're not allowing him anything. So you're making it so that you're the only one that knows, so that you can never be separated from the child.
Right. But the thing is, it's not what you say. It's how you say it. That is why I know it's actually not about the solids in the baby, because you could say, hey, like, oh, no, like we can't introduce those types of solids to the baby. Wait, what did you feed the baby? Just make sure the baby's good. It could have been a fun, it could have been a bonding moment. It could have been cute. It could have been all of that if they actually had a good relationship. He made a mistake, and the way that she could have responded to the mistake could have been different. But the way in which she responded to him was hostile and disrespectful and dismissive, and she created that energy. He was having fun with the baby, doing this, that, whatever. It could have been a moment for them to bond and to talk and be like, okay, now we really got to make this food plan because I can't have you out here but my baby had danger. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And it's very indicative of their unhealthy, toxic dynamic, because two people who actually are in a healthy space, one can make a mistake without one coming at them like that. Yes, and that is why I know it's not about the food. It's about the fact that she doesn't like him, and she resents the fact that now she has this baby by this man that she does not like, does not want to be with, does not trust, and does not respect.
I want to say
that is what the problem
I want to get my point across as well.
So, go ahead.
Yes, I know she doesn't trust him and respect him, but I'm not gonna laugh and be like, "Oh, you fed the baby this." I'm gonna be upset because that's just me. So I feel like she was. I agree with K-Stone. She was being very overprotective with her baby throughout the episode. I don't know what she's bitter about because she didn't want him. If she is bitter, she's just bitter at the fact that she chose to have this child, and now she's seeing how hard it is to take care of the child. Yeah, but I don't think that she is necessarily just bitter at him for not being with him. I'll say that. But I want to read some of these comments. Fox Counselor says she wanted to be the one to make the decision. You know how we are. Yes, I definitely understand how we are. It's not about being selfish. It's the fact that I'm spending 24/7 with this child. And then this man comes. What is he coming once a week when he can? And he wants to have a decision in what's going on when I'm the sole guardian of this child.
By choice. You can't leave out the fact that is what she said she wanted.
Can I finish my point?
Yeah.
Because let's say it's by choice, he's still choosing to take a step back. So because he's looking at me as a sole guardian, okay, if you're allowing me to make these choices with this child, then why do you have something to say? Why do you care? Why do you want to argue at this point? Why do you want to step in at this point if you are allowing me to take on the responsibility to have the child all to myself regardless? So if you're allowing that to happen and saying, keep me posted, or I'm going to show up at this time, I can't show up at this time, and I have to take care of the child 24/7, then yes, that is my right as a mother to dictate how my child is raised and what happens with my child. And if he has a problem with that, this is why I say he can take me to court, because he made the choice to not be there 24/7 based off of, I guess, her attitude or them not being together. So neither one is right or wrong, but realistically, he's not there. And so I feel like
he doesn't live in the city. He physically can't be there.
If he wanted to be there with his child, he would have stayed there in the city that they're living in.
Without a job? So now he really a deadbeat.
He had a job. I thought he had a job at the
No, he quit that place when he got the new job. He got the new job before.
He quit before he got the new job or whatever.
But but he had that new job. And then Condola was like, hey, guess what? I'm pregnant. He already had this new job. Now he's supposed to what? Mm-hmm. Be an extra bum. Now he just sticking around. He ain't got no job. So now he can get clowned for being the man can't win. I'm not saying Lawrence is like dad goals, because I ain't saying that at all. But I do feel like Condola is really just she has created her own self-fulfilling prophecy of having a deadbeat baby daddy. Lawrence is contributing definitely to the fact. He is definitely contributing.
I agree with K-Stone. I agree with Kay.
Yeah, I agree too.
If that dad, he needs to take her to court.
I am not a fan of having them people in our business.
But the thing is though, they can't amicably come to an agreement. So they need to go to court.
The court is not the first stop. They haven't even tried any type of counseling or any type of mediation, anything at all to resolve this. Court is not the first step.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get them in your business, and more than likely they're going to strip most of his rights from him, and he's going to end up looking more like a deadbeat.
At the end of the episode, they said this isn't working. We need to talk. So hopefully again, this is the first episode with like the whole motherhood, fatherhood. Hopefully they're able to talk and come to a resolution, that's best for the baby. Because right now they're just both in ego. Both of them have their little feelings hurt. Both of them want to be right. Both of them want to prove the other one wrong. And they're both resentful and they're both bitter that they now find themselves in this situation at this point in their lives. They're both resentful.
What is he bitter about?
He's bitter that cost him Issa, and then also he's probably bitter that he was, like he said, I didn't think about this was going to be my first child being born this way. He's bitter about that. He's bitter that he has to now split his time, energy, and effort between San Francisco and LA. Like, of course, I'm always about the mother. I'm always at women's first, but we cannot forget about fathers and we cannot forget about men. Men also have feelings. Men also have attachment. Men also want to be a part of their children's lives. Men just aren't these like random things that you sleep with, get a baby with, and pop them out, and then they float off in the world. Right. No, they are also supposed to be an integral part in that baby's life, regardless if they are with you or not. That is a different conversation. But the child should be within that baby's life. So it's not. So the thing is, we have to think about Lawrence's life and Lawrence's feelings too. It's not. I know I get Condola's the mom, but it's not just about her.
Right.
Which is why I think they need to go to court.
No,
I think we need to go to counseling. Yes. And if counseling doesn't work, then go to court.
Go to counseling. Look, don't get me started.
This system rewards broken Black families.
I really think
this is what they want.
Well, K-Stone is an attorney.
Yep.
Okay, and he's not the system, and the system.
And I really feel
broken Black families.
I really feel like they need to go to court. I really feel like they need some type of custody agreement, and that way, because with him being the father and this being a boy, we can ensure that this boy is going to have a father in his life. Because we don't know what Condola is capable of. I'm seeing now. I mean, I see what she does now, even though I identify with her. She didn't allow the baby to go with him at the end of the episode, which I kind of identify with that. Was it right? No. I know why she didn't want the baby to go. And he kind of knew that too, because when that plane hit that turbulence, he realized that maybe right now, this wasn't the right time for the baby to go with me. But let's say when it is the right time, will she really let the baby go? So...
See, the thing about that is it still just shows you the problem is it's not about the baby. It's never about the thing. The problem is how broken their relationship is. I don't mean romantic relationship. I just mean interpersonal relationship between the two of them. Because again, Condola could have said, you know what? I'm a new mom. You're a new dad. How about we have the baby together tonight? I don't have to keep the baby and you leave. You're not going to take the baby or our baby, try and make it a partnership for the night. In the back of her mind, she could be thinking, I don't trust this fool with my baby. But you can create an environment and a situation where you're able to have resolution with someone without alienating them and without fighting and without creating divisiveness, because that made their situation worse. She could have been like, you stay over tonight. Yeah. We'll have the baby together. I'll let you do daddy duty. I'll be here for backup.
The same way he could have said, I'll just stay here. I'll stay the night here to spend some time with the baby, or I can get a hotel. So they both need to communicate that, because it's been a situation. I've gone through that situation where I didn't trust my son's father taking my son, and he ended up staying in town to keep him. Now, I allowed them to go to the hotel that he was staying in, but I did not feel comfortable with him taking him all the way to Alabama. At the time, I was in Texas, just for the simple fact of things that I saw with what he was doing and the way the trip was going for him. But I agreed to allow them to stay at the hotel. I'm like, yeah, you can take them at the hotel, because I still wanted my free time. So,
right? Yes.
So he could
Yeah.
have offered that. They both could have offered a resolution versus him just leaving. So we don't know why he just left like that.
I know why he left like that, because that's the thing. And again, I'm only talking about Condola and Lawrence. The reason why he left like that, and the reason why I say more Condola needs to change, is because Lawrence isn't coming at Condola aggressively or disrespectfully or creating arguments or picking fights. The energy she brings to Lawrence is hostile and angry and pissed off, and she's always fighting him. That's why I say more about Condola, is because the energy she brings to Lawrence is hostile AF. She like with the baby, with the solid foods, with having the baby overnight. He's not coming to her hostile. He's coming to her like, oh, I got the baby solids. Oh, it's I'm gonna try and do this. He's not coming to her hostile, and she's responding to him in a hostile way. And to me, that is what the problem is.
Do you know why he's not coming to her hostile? It's because he's not with the baby 24/7, and he's getting to live his life. We see them both where he's doing him, she's having to be with a baby, so she's frustrated. Like, no, I'm gonna take her feelings into consideration. She's the one with the baby 24/7, so she's gonna be hostile. Period. She's bitter. I can see that. Bitter at the fact that she chose to have this baby and now has to deal with now has to deal with taking care of the baby 24/7. So now when she my daughter. Now when she comes at him, she's gonna be hostile because I really feel like it's resentment versus bitterness. She resents him because of the fact that she's chosen to have this baby 24/7. Now he's all relaxed or whatever because he hadn't had to deal with the stresses of having a baby 24/7. So of course he's not gonna be all worked up. But what do you want to say, Khadi?
I just want to say that I love you guys.
Love you too.
I feel like it's getting a little too heated, and I just wanted to throw some love.
Oh, I love them.
Oh no, I didn't think it was heated at all.
I was gonna say I'm just having a discussion.
Yeah, I didn't think it was heated at all.
Yeah, I mean, we can agree to disagree. We both feel differently about a situation. Yeah. And I can only speak, I feel the way about it because of my life experiences. Now, Candy's viewing it as the characters.
Exactly.
So I'm viewing it from me watching the show and finding the characters relatable to my life. So that's where I'm coming from with that. So it's okay to disagree. And we still come together. And let me tell y'all mofos this, not y'all, but the mofos that watch us. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna try to keep it as nice as possible. What me, Khadi, and Candy have going on is a very positive thing. I am for it. I love these ladies. They are beautiful, intelligent Black women, and I will always stand with them regardless of whether or not I disagree. It's okay to disagree because we don't always have to get along together. But please don't try to come for us and want this negativity. We are all intelligent. We all have different perspectives, which is why in our little ladies lounge, don't let me play the theme song, but in our ladies lounge, it's 3 different perspectives because we are 3 different
Let's take it old school back to the 90s.
Three different types of Black women. So we're not all the same. We're not gonna always disagree. And I love open perspectives. I love Kate Stone.
Hey, Kate Stone.
She said with Candy, that's her choice. He was only taking the baby to the hotel down the street. He wasn't taking the baby to San Francisco. I thought he was taking the baby to San Francisco. But
does she mean me, Candy?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, she calls me Candy too.
Oh, she calls you Candy. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought he was taking the baby to
No, the show has never been about baby mama drama ever until today.
Yes. Because of Lawrence's dusty ass. I'm sorry. Because of Lawrence being dusty as usual.
Yes. And I do want to say this. My opinions tonight have solely been based on these 2 characters. Yeah. Outside of that, I always 1,000% default to the mom. I have nothing but respect for single mothers. I am the product of a single mother. So I just do shout outs to single moms. They are beautiful. They are worthy. They are deserving. They have the hardest job on this planet. So shout out to single fathers too. Any person raising a child on their own. Shout out to the single dads too, because there's a lot of single dads out there and they need their shine. So in reality, I default to the person who has the baby the most, but I can always still see both sides of the situation. So my opinion is only based on these fictional written characters of Condola and Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I want to make that very clear.
Khadi, any words?
Oh. Well, I mean, I'm talking about Condola and Lawrence as well in this particular situation. I know there are so many different situations or whatever, but I'm specifically talking about this one.
Me too.
And I feel strongly that both of these mofos is in the wrong. Mm-hmm. Both of them. I'm not absolving one over the other. I don't do that. If I see your fault, you're going to get it. Lawrence is wrong. He coming off like a deadbeat. And he ain't trying like he should be, like he could be. And I get the fact that he keeps getting the pushback, so it almost makes him want to give up. But it's not about her, it's about the child.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he needs to push through it in order to get the time with his child. To make her see that he is a good father. And on the flip side, she needs to freaking release some of this control that she has, because
the overprotectiveness, because she is very overprotective of that baby.
Yes, but then
but only when it comes to Lawrence.
Screen, you see her, she looks miserable. She's happy she's on the toilet taking the time to do the thing while he doing other stuff.
I agree, Ken.
This is what you want, because you won't let him take anything from you. You won't let him take any responsibility.
Yeah. I don't think he's a deadbeat, and I don't think she's trying to see him as one. I just think there are two people that don't communicate. This is their first child, and if anything, is resentment versus her calling him a deadbeat. Now, going back to the beginning, I felt like her mother, Leela Rashawn, shout out to her, she was nice to him. She gave him a hug. I love Leela Rashawn. She's one of my favorite actors.
She was a little passive aggressive.
They were not feeling him.
Passive aggressive.
And they called him a deadbeat on the show.
Keke Palmer was more like, oh, he's doing him.
Why would they think he was a deadbeat unless she told them?
It's not about
exactly.
He's not calling, because this is the same situation. You could nip it in the bud. If you wanted to nip it in the bud, you could have nipped it in the bud. You could have been like, no, don't come for him like that. We having a setup and he's doing this, he's doing that. But you either let them say this about him or you fed it to them. And that's why
I think it's both.
They feel.
I think
it's so clear, both. So clear. And that's why I said she villainizes him.
And yes, I think Lawrence is sort of a deadbeat. I mean, sort of, not a full one, but sort of, because he's allowing his rights as a father to be taken. He's allowing it, essentially. He's not fighting for his child like he should be.
Why do you think that?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. She gives him an out, and then when he takes the out, she resents him for taking it, because she doesn't have an out. And that's what I mean. And I think that her feeling is resentment. I think the way that she expresses her resentment is through bitterness, is through bitter action. That's why she's so aggressive. That's why she's so hostile. That's why she's so defensive with him. Her actions are bitter because she feels resentful. And that's how she's expressing it, if that makes sense at all. But I think I wouldn't call Lawrence a deadbeat.
I don't think he's a deadbeat.
I wouldn't call him a deadbeat, because he is trying in his own way. And I think that to humanize both of them, I think at the end of the day, yes, they both wrong or right, but I actually think the both of them are doing the best that they can. They're doing the best that they know, and they're doing the best in the moment. Is it right or is it wrong all the time? Sure. Does she get it wrong? Yes. Does he get it wrong? Yes. But I think that they both are just still doing the best that they can.
Yeah, which is why I don't think either is wrong. Because I can see where he's coming from as a dad. I don't think he's a deadbeat. I think It's to me, it's realistic. He didn't have to necessarily have the child. He had his life going on, and she didn't necessarily ask him to be in her life. So I really feel like no one is right or wrong. They're navigating through this situation that they've dealt for themselves. So I really feel like they need to go to court or need some type of mediation.
I don't feel like that. And I don't
mediation.
feel like
mediation. And if mediation doesn't work, then court.
Stop legal. Why is the first stop legal? That doesn't make any sense.
Because
they haven't even tried to resolve it.
I would want it in writing. I'm just saying. I would just.
They haven't even tried. We just no longer try no more. This same
I
thing
feel like they
marriages.
have tried, and it's a train
no mediation for marriages either. Just divorce.
I feel like it's train wreck. They have tried. We've had the incident of them fighting over the baby at
They haven't tried. That was them too.
They haven't tried. That's not trying. That's not trying.
They haven't gone to mediation. They have not tried. They mediation honestly have not tried. All they've done was yell at each other.
Yeah. K-Stone said, I'm a single mom that is very overprotective of my twins, but baby, one day she is going to pray for the day when Lawrence can come get the baby just for her peace of mind. Exactly. So I know once that baby gets a little older, when the baby is real independent, she's going to be like, Lawrence, when you coming to get the baby? When you coming to get the baby? Because that's how I was. The baby is new. And so, of course, you think the baby, well, this is me speaking as a mom, not the characters. Yeah. But with the baby being so new, you just be thinking everything. I don't know. I automatically assume something's going to go wrong with a little baby because they're so fragile. But as my kids have gotten older, especially the more that I've had, I'd be like, go on and break a leg. I don't even care anymore.
No, break a leg. Go on, break a leg. Go on, do it.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Kiss it, make it better.
As they get older, it gets easier because, they're more independent for themselves and they can speak up for themselves as well. So
Candace, you sound like my mom. She be like, don't break nothing because all I got is a rubber band. Rubber band it back again.
Because these kids is crazy. And then I have my baby is a pandemic baby and she's already acting crazy and she's only one. So it's like
she is everything. When she comes through with those cheeks and she's like, I'm like, whatever. I'm like, give her everything. She gets everything. Just give it to her. Whatever she wants, give it to her. Give it to her.
Yes.
Oh, I want to share my story. I told you guys. So I had a very similar Lawrence baby food story. So when my niece was younger, I don't know. And again, this is why I say, only based on this situation, it depends on the relationship you have with the person, how they respond to what happens with their children to you. I was babysitting my niece. She had to be definitely under 1. I'm talking about like high chair situation. I don't know babies' ages, but goober baby. So she was in the high chair. My sister had prepared like all the food I was supposed to give her, what time, how much to heat it, like she gave them all of this stuff, and it was like this like grounded up broccoli, I think it was, and it was like mush, and it was really soft. And then me, like, I've never had a kid. I never really babysat. I don't know. I'm like, whatever. I was like, you know what? I bet my baby niece wants some spaghetti sauce with this. Let's like jazz it up a bit. Girl, I put the spaghetti sauce on. I fed my niece. 2 seconds later, her face went like ashen white, like literally projectile vomited everywhere. So we had red and green vomit everywhere. Now I know in my mind, oh, maybe tomato sauce is too acidic for like a baby's stomach. Everywhere. My sister walks in as her baby is like crying, puking. I'm crying. I'm probably about to puke myself. It's like this whole situation. And my sister just laughs. She was like, girl, like just like she just like thought it was so funny. She got the baby. She looked the baby over. The baby was fine. We cleaned up and we had a laugh about it. And she's like, okay, like the next time, just follow everything step by step. If you have any questions, you can call or text me. This is how it goes. Da, 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 da. And it was like this great bonding, learning experience. And she didn't yell at me. She didn't I already felt horrible. I was like probably gonna cry. Like I already felt so bad. So it was like she didn't it was like night and day with the Condola situation, and this was an actual real life. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say,
and that's why I think. So that's why I think it depends on like the relationship that the person has. Like she knows that my intention was not to harm the baby, and so if she knows that my intentions are good, she's not, and she knows that I wasn't doing anything against her, or she didn't perceive it that way. We were able to like clean up together and laugh, and we talked about it, and we had a plan for next time, like, and all that stuff. And it turned out to be this great bonding moment. That's why I'm just sort of like, it wasn't about the baby and it wasn't about the food. Her reaction was out of, she does not like him. She doesn't respect him. She's resentful. She's upset. She's at her wit's end. She's all of these things. And no matter what Lawrence does or does not do, in her mind, it will never be good enough. And that is why he's so wishy-washy, because again, of course, I'm saying you should always show up for your kid. Like no matter what, you need to always fight for your kid. But they both are stuck in ego. And so he's responding to her, she's responding to him. And neither one of them, to be honest, is actually putting the baby first. Because the way she's treating the baby actually isn't healthy.
So for me, and I have to use the restroom, so I'm going to say this real quick and go to the restroom.
Okay.
So me, with the situation that you and your sister had with my sister, I wouldn't have yelled at her, but she just wouldn't watch the baby until the baby was older. I would have been like, oh, Katrina. That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, like, because I have two sisters that live here. So I would have called my other sister like, girl, you know what Katrina fed my baby? So I'm going to need you to watch her until the baby gets a little older. Oh, and that's just me. I'm very overprotective with my kids.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't have went off on my baby sister. I would have been like, you should have just called me, but okay.
Exactly. And that's what happened. She was just like, okay, Candy, sweet little girl. Next time, call me or text me. And she's like, if you can't get through, just follow the directions exactly the way I gave it to you. She wasn't mad or upset. Yeah. Like, we just cleaned everything up. So that's why I've literally been in that situation.
I love you. I was going to say,
but yeah, we love each other. And we know, and the thing is, we trust, and that's when she was like, I don't trust you. She doesn't trust his intentions with anything. Me and my sister trust each other. So she knew that my intentions were not to harm her or the baby. She knew that I was actually trying to do something good and fun, the same way Lawrence was. He was having fun with the baby. He was excited. But when you don't trust someone, you default to the worst in them. And that is what the problem is. They need to build the trust between the two of them before they can co-parent this child.
Yes. Any thoughts?
Go pee, Candace. Go pee.
Yes.
I said go pee.
I'm doing a dance for you.
Go, Khadi. Go, Khadi. Go. Go, Khadi, go, Khadi, go.
I guess we are taking it to the 90s, Dan. Not a snort. I don't know. I feel like we touched on everything. I feel like we touched on everything in the episode.
Dun, 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 dun.
They're both wrong. And I feel like they definitely need to do some sort of counseling or something. I don't know why.
Yeah, counseling.
Is always legal with people. Like, really, all these.
I think he was just threatening
out here. No,
I think he was threatening because he was mad. Oh, you mean in general?
Yeah, like why?
Okay.
But automatically, we just going legal. All these other programs, all these other things you could take advantage of. And that's the very first step. Mm-hmm. When if they could healthily work this out, they would never have to involve the system at all. And I've seen co-parenting done between two people who are not together. Like, if you can healthily do it, it's perfect. Yep. It's not perfect, but it's great. I don't understand why it's like, right now I don't like you and I don't like you, and now I'm about to take you to court. Like, that's step number one.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to go to couples therapy, because co-parenting really is working on the relationships of the two parents. Mm-hmm. It literally has very little to do with the child, because when you have healthy communication between two people, you can solve any problem and you can get to any resolution without arguing, without fighting, without being dismissive, without being hostile and all of this stuff. That's why with Condola, the reason why I not look down, but why I think she's a little bit more at fault, I think they both are at fault, but it's because the energy she brings to every situation is really foul and messed up.
Really hostile.
And really super hostile. And at the end of the day, I understand that they both had sex and they both had this baby, but ultimately she was the one who chose to keep it. And she was the one who gave him that energy. Oh, Candace, I want to say something to you. I'm happy you're back. I wanted to say, I am so proud of you for being a single mom and killing it and doing the damn thing. Because again, like I said, I am the product of a single mother. So I know firsthand how hard and how difficult that can be to navigate family, friends, society, baby daddies, all of that stuff. So I just wanted to applaud you and say I'm very proud of you. And thank you for sharing your experience with all of us so we can understand that too.
Thank you. And not to confuse the audience, I'm not a single mom now.
Not now. I mean, at the time. Sorry.
In the past, I was.
In the past, not now. Yeah, in the past, not now.
So what were we talking about though?
I don't know.
I'm gonna drop the link. Are y'all ready for some guests? Because I do.
Yeah.
I want Kay Stone to come up to talk her legal advice.
I was just saying how legal should not be the very first step that people take when they haven't even tried to have a doggone conversation.
Get a refill, Candace. Fill her up.
It's like maybe the conversation doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe mediation doesn't work, but you have to try. And the simple fact that people are just like, I don't want to try. I'm just going to get them boys called on you. Like, really? You don't even want to see
that backfires.
That also, yes, sometimes it backfires. Exactly.
The absolute last thing I ever want to deal with is court or police or anything like that. It's scary to me.
Especially as Black people. That's what I'm saying. Like, and
you call them and then we get shot.
They have set the system up to remove the man out of the household. That's
I'll say this, Khadi, and this is just me speaking from my experience and going through the court system. So originally when I had my son, me and of course his father did not work out. He agreed to pay me $200 a month for our child, which was nothing.
Yeah, I was like,
did I get that?
An hour? Like,
I
was like an hour.
So fast forward to, I think my son was 1 or 2. I lost my job. In the job that I was working, and I had to file for emergency benefits, and I was living in Texas at the time. The state of Texas, if you have to file for benefits and the father's not there, they automatically put the father on a child support order. And so I had to go to court, and that was my first time going to court as it relates to my son's father. And so when I talked to them, they were like, well, were you paying the insurance for your medical insurance? I said, yes, I was paying for everything. And so the payment ended up coming up to current, like it was like $414 a month for just current child support, and then back child support was still like for the $213 because he told me he agreed to $200, which I never got. And so in the end, he had to pay close to $600 a month. He got all the paperwork and all of that, and he still wasn't involved. They didn't take him to jail though because he was in a different state, but they suspended his driver's license.
Yeah,
when he tried to purchase a new car, it was on his credit. He was trying to purchase a car, but not paying child support.
That's a deadbeat.
So
sorry, no disrespect.
I know it. No, it's not bad. But fast forward, he ended up getting himself together, and now I'm married. So he's currently not on child support. I'm telling some of my business. He paid me a large lump sum, and I agreed to sign off for the child support. Now, is he paying it regularly each month? No. But my son is older. I've never talked negative about his father, but I want my son to see for himself how his father is. Yeah. So sometimes the courts help though, and like depending on the state that you live in, like the predicament that I was in, I had to get emergency benefits because it was me and my son. And so they was like, we're not going to take care of your child and you don't got an order. So they
no, I'm not saying that there's not situations that the court doesn't help. I'm just saying
that situation happens far too often, which I hate that it does, but that's a common thing that happens.
I know all about child support and people doing that. Like, I personally ain't got no kids, but I know all about that stuff. But still, it should never be
Not yet. Your little one's gonna come soon.
Well, I still won't know about child support though.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Hey,
David is
I just
claiming
think
that.
court should never be the very first option unless there's like really something that is going on. In this situation between Lawrence and Condola, there's no reason that they can't. Okay, they can't communicate. So there's no reason they can't go somewhere to like counseling to see if they can communicate. If communication breaks down, they can't do it, then let's move to the next step. But there's really no reason to initially just be like, I hate your guts, I'm going to court. That's just like, why?
Yeah. Well, shout out to K Stone. I met K Stone on Sunny's channel, and me and Sunny are still good, Kay, because I had watched Sunny's show and people think we're not, but me and her are still good. I'm glad to have you here. I and respect your opinion, but what are your thoughts on everything that we talked about today? Kay? Are you there, Kay?
I gotta do another 90s dance.
Okay.
Make sure your mic is connected correctly in the settings.
Oh, she dropped off.
Oh no!
Like, I was ready to hear her. Like,
Yeah.
she makes a lot of good, valid points about a lot of things. So I love hearing her legal perspective on it. She's an attorney, and she speaks some real facts with a lot of stuff. So hopefully she comes back.
Yeah.
A fun show. My husband, he was like,
This has been fun.
Down. He was like, oh. I had to mute. I was like, wait.
Shout out to the hubby. Shout out to the hubby.
He thought I was going hard on y'all. I was like, did he die?
No, you weren't. No, you
Love
weren't.
you.
No, you weren't.
He was trying to tell me to calm down.
Absolutely not. I thoroughly enjoyed you.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
I love both of y'all.
I love you too. I was like, can you go harder? I was like, yes, Miss Candace. Yes.
I can go harder, but I
was like, oh my gosh, she's stealing my thunder of being the.
I know. I was like, yes, Miss Candace, I will pipe the fuck down. Yes, I will. Miss Candace, my hand is raised, Miss Candace. I love it when you were like, this is my show, don't make me. I was like, yes, Miss Candace. You better. I was like, yes. You better.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. I loved it.
Female coming out in me.
Yes. No, I enjoyed it. I piped all the way down. I was like, yep. I was like, and go on. Continue.
I got a question.
I was like, oh.
My stomach is hurting. Okay, so let me get on my computer. Be right back. So yes,
Okay,
I want to hear Kay's perspective because she is very actually. Khadi, you and Kay have similar opinions on things, but she speaks on it from a legal perspective because she's an attorney. But she is very diplomatic in her thought process. I'll say that. So I can't wait for Kay to join. But this was fun.
Yes, and you know what? I knew it was going because the backstage was like lit the other day.
Yeah, so the backstage I feel like was even worse than what. Oh, here's Kay.
The backstage was
hey
like lit the other day. So
you gotta turn us down in the back. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. So I am ready to hear your thoughts on everything.
So first, hello, ladies. This is my first time joining you.
Hey.
Good to be here. I love this conversation. The problem is that in the family court system, I hear what Khadi's saying. Like, why do we have to run the court? Why are we running the court at the first hint of any type of conflict, right, with the family? However, in this case, Lawrence and Condola have a long-term issue outside of just this baby, right? So they're bringing in the baggage from everything that happened last season. Let's just keep it in the TV realm. Last season, and then the thought that he really didn't want to go forward with the baby, and she did. And now that he's at a place of acceptance that the baby's here, she's still holding on to all those memories, right? So she's not allowing herself to grow. He can only meet her so far. But at the ultimate crux of any family court issue is the best interest of the child, right? So to the extent that she wants to play bitter, you don't have a lot of time to work on the adults when a baby is here. The time to have done all the therapy and talking was while she was pregnant, in preparation for the arrival. So when the child is here, we have some understanding. But when the child is now here and both parents are fighting for the right to have the child with them, that's the problem. So that's why I say they need to go to court, because the best interest of the child is at stake here, right? And the candy shop said earlier that, the mother does have a bond and attachment, but then the Candy Washington was right that men nowadays are also developing that same bond, that touch bond, that laying on their chest, getting the same feel. So it's not going to always be that the courts are going to defer to the mother, because a lot of fathers are walking away from court with their children. So the women should not feel so empowered that this is my child, my decision, my, because courts are starting to change on that issue. And so I've seen it happen time and time again. But Khadi's right, though. Once you involve the court system, though, you lose a certain amount of power in determining a lot of things. You're leaving it up to a third party who's not a part of anything to make decisions about your child. What's in the best interest of your child. So you're taking away you and that person's ability to sit down and make that decision and giving it to a random judge who doesn't give sometimes 2 cents about what's happening in your life, right? So that's my 2 cents on that, ladies.
Oh, well, thank you,
Thank you.
K-Stone.
That
I
was great.
appreciated everything that you said. I think we can all agree that we agree with you.
Because she agreed with all of us.
I agree with all of you, yes.
Yes.
This is tricky, right? I think a lot of ladies can really connect with this, don't you think? I mean, a lot of ladies right now are sitting in a court situation. But I did think, you're right, Candy Washington, that she was so like overprotective. I just kind of cringed during the episode. It was like, give me my baby. Don't do my baby. I'm like, whoa. Like, I have sons. So I'm like, I don't want someone to treat my son like that. I think, I don't know the characters as well as you guys do. So I didn't think of Lawrence as being a deadbeat. I mean, regardless of what happened in the past, he was trying in this moment. So I kind of like wiped the slate clean. The baby's here now. What are you doing now? So that's why I said deadbeat. I'm kind of on the fence about that, Khadi, but I hear what you're saying. But yeah, it's going to be a fine rope walk on this one.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's a deadbeat. I just feel like no one was wrong. They're both learning. But it's a situation where it just seems like they can't communicate when they try to come together. So that's why I said maybe they should take it legally, because it's not working. Condola has her resentment towards him, and Lawrence has his views or whatever. And I just feel like in order for it to be fair, they will have to take it to the court or a mediator.
Now, what did you think about Derek at the party, basically chastising Lawrence?
I agreed. I didn't feel like he was chastising him. I really felt like he was saying, in order for the sake of the child, you need to learn how to communicate, because the child is going to receive the backlash. So I didn't view that as a chastisement, but I really felt like he was just telling him, man to man, get a hold of yourself. Don't allow this woman to pull you out of character, because in the end, your child is the person that's going to be detrimental to that child. So I didn't think he was chastising him. I really felt like he was talking to him as a father. I know y'all might not see it that way, but I agree with a lot of what Derek was saying.
I do feel like he was chastising Lawrence. It could just be because that's his friend, and he's not close to Condola at all to approach her in any way, but it just kind of seemed like he was like, just let her go off and just let her have your child, both of y'all's child. Just let her win in this situation and be a better person, and then work it out later or whatever.
I don't think he was saying let her win. I think he was saying control you. You can control you, so be the best thing for your child. But I don't think he was saying to let her do this and let her do that. But Lawrence reacted based off of her in the situation. Let's say the child was a little older, the child would have saw it. Like somebody has to be the level-headed person in the situation. Just because she's popping off doesn't mean I have to pop off.
And I feel like he was the level-headed one.
Me too.
He was.
I don't.
He
feel
was
like
the aggressor. She was the one coming at him, and he was like, "Yo, like, whoa." Because
I don't feel like neither one was level-headed when you're both arguing over a baby. Like I really just feel like somebody needed to be the person. It could have been her, it could have been him, but somebody needed to be the level-headed one. Neither one was level-headed.
Once again, he must defer to her simply because she's having a
It's not about deferring to her. I hope Tiff would have a conversation with her. Like, hey, don't let this man take you out of character. But we didn't see what was said to her. We only saw the conversation between Derek and Lawrence. So that's the thing. Both of them somebody needs to be level-headed. I'm not saying that he was wrong or she was wrong, but somebody in the situation needs to take a hold of it and think about the interest of the child.
I felt like he was level-headed.
I think out of the two, he was the most level-headed one. And I think sometimes when she was almost like a bully in that situation. And sometimes you have to stand your ground when it comes to a bully, or else they'll continuously to bulldoze you. And it was becoming a pattern with her. So I think he was standing his ground. I thought he was level-headed. But the way I kind of saw the whole Derek conversation was stereotypes, right? How if you see a man and a woman fighting, or there's any type of heat, you always default that the man is wrong and the woman is right. Even though in that situation, my personal opinion, I thought the way she responded to the situation was an over response. It was an overreaction. It was hostile, and she was in the wrong in that situation. So I think Derek was kind of talking to him as if like, you need to just shut up and put up. That's kind of how I thought Derek was saying. And I think that was more like stereotypes, where it's just like, well, she's the mom, she's the woman, she's right. And you kind of have that stereotype that the man has to be wrong. The same way we have those stereotypes when it's like, if a guy is talking about, my crazy ex-girlfriend, she does this, this, and this, and this, and this. So if you see the girl out, you think, oh, she must be crazy, she must be that, because there's that stereotype where you don't see behind the scenes where it's really him doing all this stuff to her to make her crazy. That's kind of the stereotype I saw with Condola and Lawrence. It's like Condola was actually the one behind the scenes really making that situation hostile. But when you just look at it on the surface, the stereotype is, oh, the guy has to be in the wrong in the situation. So I kind of saw it as Derek didn't actually have an understanding of what the true relationship and dynamic was. And by default, you just say, hey, man, shut up and put up. She's the mom. She's the one who had the baby. Just do whatever she says just to go along, to get along, which is what Derek does in his relationship. So I'm not really sure if Derek is the best person to be giving him advice, because Derek just shuts up to get along in his own situation.
I didn't feel like it was a goal on to get along. If we look at stereotypes, the man is supposed to be the most level-headed and lead by example. So if we're going by stereotypes, he's supposed to be the most level-headed and be able to calm down the situation versus escalating the situation. And I really felt like, and this is going by, I feel like they both escalated it. She said, give me my baby. He said, no. They were literally fighting over the baby. And so I like Derek's advice to him, because again, I will say somebody needed to be the level-headed person in this situation. The only reason why I feel like he should have been, it only is because Condola spends the most time with this child. Now, had it been the other way around,
he loses again.
This is just me speaking based off of what they're presenting to us. Condola is raising this child. So I really felt like he should have just let the baby go to her, and that was it.
And see, this is why couples like that keep lawyers employed, because they're going to need the court system to work this out. When you have two strong-willed people like that, it is very difficult to come to an understanding. When you can't agree on just very small things, and there is bitterness and like, I'm carrying this baby on my own by choice though. But who wants to have that thrown in your face, right? Every time she complains about something, he's like, well, that was your choice. That was your choice. That in itself becomes an issue, right? So it's always going to be some conflict there, because whatever she says, his response can be, you chose that. And she's going to say, well, you moved away. Well, you knew that when you had the baby. Like, all of this is just back and forth. Exactly. So I don't see any way outside of court resolving this. And it may be 50-50, right? And then you got to work it out. So it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
And I think it also depends on how we're defining the level-headed one. Like, what do we define as level-headed? Because I personally don't think being level-headed means just defer and just say, fine, you're right, here's the baby. That, to me, that's being more like a pushover. And that, to me, is only enabling that unhealthy dynamic. I do think that he was being level-headed. He was like, hey, well, the doctor actually said after 4 months we can introduce solids, and then she had a problem with that, and then she went off, and then she actually physically wanted to take the baby back. And I think people just saw this exchange, and I myself, if I just saw that exchange, I would automatically say, dude, you need to back off. That's a woman, that's the father, that's the mother, what are you doing? That would be my own default. However, understanding the actual dynamic by watching the show and the dynamic between the two characters, once you kind of get past that first default, you see how that came about, and you do see it was really her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, level-headed for me in that situation would have been whenever he explained what he fed to that baby. If she had a problem with it, let's go talk about this inside. We're not gonna argue with out here. So with him having the baby, say if she wanted it, he could have walked off with that baby and took her inside, and then okay, now we're about to talk about this. So that to me would have been a level-headed thing, but I don't know.
But role reverse it. Could you imagine if she was the one holding the baby and he did that to her and he was like, you give me the baby, give me my baby. Could you imagine?
Yep.
And then that thing in the kitchen where she stole it, she's like, this is my baby. And
that's why
could you imagine the role reversal in that situation?
That's why I wish she would have walked off with the baby.
They would have tried to hit a DV on that.
He would exactly. He would have been in cuffs. He would have been a this, that, and the third. All of this. No, we're not saying walking. We're saying role reversal. We're saying role reversal.
Snatch the baby from her. They would
exactly. Could you imagine if she was the one holding the baby and he came up to her and was like, give me my baby. How dare you feed it this solid food right now? Could you imagine if the roles were reversed in that situation?
I mean, look how Derek reacted.
Look how Derek reacted when it was like that. Because so could you imagine if the roles were reversed? He would have been in sync or whatever it's called.
But I don't know. I guess for me, y'all are gonna all the way disagree. I still agree with Derek. Lawrence is still a black man. We cannot fight against what it is. So Derek went to him because he know with Lawrence being a black man, if Lawrence would have fought back and forth with this woman, it could have been a DV situation. So he saved him from that situation, knowing what it looked like to everyone.
That's true. No, that is true. That's true. That's true. I'm going to drop down, ladies. It was great talking to you. This was awesome.
Nice to meet you, Kay.
Yes, thank you for joining me, Kay.
No problem.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, I guess we should be ending soon. I'm hungry.
Me too, but I don't want to eat.
Yeah. I had a big old salad and it was delicious.
I didn't eat anything yet, and I'm about to have a cheesesteak.
Not a cheesesteak. What's gonna be on a cheesesteak? Do you do like sweet peppers and onions?
Yes.
American cheese? Swiss cheese? I need to take my hungry ass and get some real food. Like, that's what I need to do. Yeah, pop a pizza in the oven or something. Oh, I forgot we were live.
I'm gonna end the live. This was fun.
This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Again, Candace, so proud of you for that time period. Very, very proud of you. You held it down, and I applaud you.
Thank you so much. I am proud of both of you ladies for being who you are. This was very fun to do and discuss, and I think these discussions need to happen.
100%.
They're definitely tough discussions, but they definitely need to happen.
K-Stone said, thanks for allowing me to join you ladies. You are welcome. Yes. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And I'm sorry, I'm getting all.
Look, I was about to be like, girl, if you don't like, I don't know, some tea tree oil, some pepper, something.
I just realized what I was doing.
You forgot we were live too, right? Like, I was about to get real funky with y'all.
I'll go ahead and end this. I'm going to play the outro and we're out. But thank you for joining. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I lost a subscriber tonight, but I lost somebody that wasn't here for me.
Ooh, I was about to do
whatever. You lost the bot. It was just a bot. It wasn't a real person. It was just a bot. We cool.
Careful.
But
if you still here though, watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that.
In the bushes.
Bye-bye.
But I want to welcome everybody to my channel.